the line of sight in the sketch. The focal point is the center of the screen. Every figure looks toward that center. This creates a centripetal composition. Everything draws your eye inward, towards the heart of the allegory, towards the central conflict. The very center composition serves a symbolic role. It represents balance and contradiction. You have a spiritual center, vertically, and a societal center, horizontally. The very center of the frame is also the center of this profound allegory. It's where all the forces, all the meanings converge. And look at the geometry. Many golden triangles are included in this sketch. A triangle, of course, is a sacred symbol, representing divinity, stability, balance. The symbols of the eye, hand, and water are not accidental. The eye represents vision, a symbol of divine presence. The hand represents action, our free will, our ability to choose and act. And water, as we've discussed, is the origin of life, the flow of existence and purification. It holds both the promise of renewal and the stains of sin. The inspiration for this composition comes from some of the greatest artistic masters. Leonardo da Vinci's The Virgin and Child with St. Anne is a clear influence, especially in the poses and the sense of interconnectedness. Michelangelo's Creation of Adam echoes in the yearning hands and the powerful, almost divine figures. And Botticelli's The Birth of Venus is there in the graceful flowing lines of the woman and the sense of emerging beauty. This sketch, this prototype, is a masterpiece of symbolic art, carefully crafted to convey these deep, unsettling truths about the Pokemon world. It's a visual sermon, if you will, on humanity's place, in a universe overseen by ancient, almost unfathomable deities, and the enduring power of Pokemon to guide us toward salvation. The allegory also shows the bird Pokemon. In this painting, the bird represents life and death and freedom. Since ancient times, people have felt God and birds are implying entities. In this image, we can see that the bird is at the very top of the pyramid. This is the meaning of the one who watches over us who are angels. This grand narrative, this hidden truth about the Pokemon universe, has been subtly woven into the games for decades, waiting for us to uncover it. The leak didn't just give us some interesting tidbits. It gave us the Rosetta Stone to understand a philosophy that runs deeper than any children's game has a right to, if only we had the eyes to see. And now, you do. The world of Pokemon will never look the same.
Big Bad Toy Store is proud to present the Marvel Art FX Artist Series Venom from Kota Kukida. This amazing 1/6 scale statue is reimagined in the iconic art style as drawn by Hiroyuki Imaishi. Meticulously sculpted by Keita Misono, Venom is poised and ready to pounce on his next victim at any moment. With his bulging physique and unique color-changing Mazira paint, the end result is a true work of art with a presence like no other. Don't miss your chance to secure the Marvel Art FX Series Venom today from Big Bad Toy Store.
Toma la decisión con las dos tarjetas, crédito y débito. Solicítalas hoy.
In 1929 in Chicago, people kept mysteriously dying inside their homes. It took 15 deaths for the authorities to realize that these
Do you need near production quality plastic parts quickly and economically? Find out why polyurethane vacuum casting makes
This figure here offers pretty crazy value when compared with other waifu girly figures of this style. Rosado RS02 Starflower Black Iris is both larger in size and offers a ton of playability with a bunch of accessories. I think she's sometimes called Seika as well. This is a 1/10 scale figure, so of course larger than the 1/12 stuff we usually cover here. But you know, sometimes it's fun to take a look at some different stuff. What do you think? Do you reckon she's going to be too big? Do you strictly collect 1/12 stuff? Do let me know down below. I mean, it kind of depends how you display her, right? So of course we'll take a look at all the different options and stuff, and the size comparisons later on. Personally, I was actually very on the fence about this one, because I do try to keep things in the 1/12 scale myself, but I'm also partnered with Bombaspeed, so I'm very grateful for that. They kindly sent this figure over for us to take a look at, so we can see whether she's worth it. If you would like to grab her too, at the time of this video, she is available on their site. And the first Rosado girl, Sekiko, is also getting a new release. So I guess these things are pretty popular. I will have links in the description if you want to check them out. So of course, big thank you to Bombaspeed, and big thank you to you as well for being here. Speaking of big, the box is pretty massive. You can pretty much fit 3 Figma boxes and then some in it. And in case you're wondering, Ernest Corcraft is the company that makes these girlies. Getting into the box, there are 2.5 or 3 trays. The top tray contains the figure and then some stuff like body parts and blades. And there is a little tray in between that has some weaponry and a baggie with some hands and stuff. And the third tray has some more attachments and things. So out of the box, she is quite large. As in the figure is larger, because it's 1/10. I mean, her legs are also kind of large too, right? So first impressions, she does look very nice. It's interesting because she doesn't really feel exactly like a normal figure. Kind of more like a finished model kit. But for the price, she is not bad at all. I will say the design is quite attractive, and it's not even because of the lack of clothing. She just has a really cool design, and I think everything looks nice together. She's got a combination of shading and gradients and stuff like that. Some metallic parts, some clear parts, and some very small printed text, which is nice and neat, I would say. So yeah, overall, very nice looking. I've just got 2 things I want to comment on. First of all, the back seam lines, or whatever the heck these are, don't look the best. I guess you could be like, she's like a mech girl or whatever. So yeah, it doesn't really bother me too much. I think the sculpting is nice overall, and the articulation should be pretty good, which we'll check later on, of course. But just a word of warning, be careful when you move her around, because there is a black print at the back of the leg, which can rub off. I assume this was due to the leg bending, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, let's take a look at her accessories and everything that she has. Let's get the fun things out of the way first. Well, I mean, for whatever your preferences are, she has chest straps. So there are 2 sizes, the default large size, I would say. There's like a little pointy armor bit which you can put onto this chest part. This is held on by a magnet, but I would say it holds on well enough. The chest parts themselves are secured properly, and the more modest chest size has a little covering as well, also magnetized. When you're posing her around and stuff, probably best to put the armor and the chest covering on last. If you want her to be a bit more modest, of course you will wear soft boots. I expect any 1/12 stuff will fit quite well.
Como Claudita, tú también puedes librarla. Cena con crédito.
She has 4 different faceplates. She has a cutesy winking face, an angry face with some yellow eyes, and her default face, which I'm sure are a lot of people's favorites. No judgment here, of course. So out of the box there is also the regular face, which is hidden just under the helmet here. So these all have movable eyes, which is nice. You'll find the eye articulation stick in the baggie of hands. In addition, we got 2 different head swaps. First of all, we got the unmasked or flaming head. Looks good, there's some shading and gradient in the hair. The hair is kind of a soft plastic as well. The way that the head's attached is quite interesting. It is done via a magnet. I would say it holds on well enough, but just be careful not to pick your figure up via the head. Otherwise, there is a full helmet, and you can also do a little front hair swap to have just the helmet and not the mask. Now for the feet and joys, I apologize, there's actually no feet. However, she does have 2 foot attachments. If you use these, then she can actually stand on her own. Personally, I found a one which you can kind of shape like a tripod for each foot to be the better one to bounce in. So everything is pretty sturdy and she bounces quite well. However, I don't really recommend leaving her like that for long periods of time because her feet attachments are kind of small. You wouldn't want to go breaking them. Luckily, she does come with a stand, so you just put it together, follow the instructions, and I'm sure it works very well. But why aren't you showing us? Well, it's because I don't have a screwdriver. Anyway, we do have a little badgie of hands. We got 9 pairs of hands, including her default ones. We got wire plugging hands. We got some holdy hands. We got some open hands. Fisty hands, of course. Other holdy hands pointing forwards a little bit. More grabbing hands for whatever fits. Even more holding hands. And even more relaxed hands. Finally, there is a pair of hands which are attached to these handles and you can plug things into them. So we got a bodyguard of hands. Spare joints, of course. But wait, there's more. 4 weaponry. We got some swords with some hands already attached so they don't get all loose and hold on nice and tightly. She's got some wires and some blades which you can plug into those hands that we looked at before. So actually you can plug these into a whole bunch of different things. Anyway, she's got some other bits which you can mix and match. So essentially you can plug the blades into the handles, and then she'll have like little dagger things. You can also take the blades, the long and the short ones, and plug them directly into those hands. And then she can have big or small claws. So there's a whole lot of playability, and I'm probably missing something. You just have to get creative. She's also got some big sword pieces, which you can plug into whatever makes sense. She can dual wield them. Or she can have a double-edged sword. Alright, so getting onto her backpack things. She's got a little lower backpack part. You can attach the 4 wired dagger core things into this. And the sharp bits can actually be taken off and you can attach other stuff to it. Mainly her wings. I mean, for this one they're kind of more like a skirt thing, right? Here's just a little look at her wings. They are pretty cool. You do have to kind of be careful with them, but I kind of didn't really care. They're still fine, so you should be okay. It does have a little bit of articulation with the black part. And then each wing is kind of just on a little ball joint as well, so you can move them around. So she does have another upper backpack part. This one doesn't really move itself, you kind of just attach the wings to the side. The attachment point is a little ball joint, so you can rotate the wings and move them around. And for this one, you can plug the sword into the middle part of the pack and look something like this. I don't really know if this makes sense. Finally, she does have a little mecha arm pack. There is a rotation where the arm attaches. There is a ball joint kind of at the shoulder part of the arm. And there are 2 more articulation points for bends. So the hands can also rotate. You can swap these hands out for the ones with these swords. So you can either have her holding the sword, or you can have her little weapon arms holding the swords. Of course, you can also take the wings and attach them to this little mecha arm pack. Oh, and also you can use her wings as like a melee weapon or something. Anyway, for articulation, the head turns well. She does have separate head and neck movement and tilts. Upward range is pretty good. Downward range is excellent. Straight up, her arms raised to the sides like so. You can of course rotate them and things like that. She does have excellent butterfly joints and can reach forwards this much. Looks pretty good from all angles, not really any gaps anywhere. And also backwards reach is pretty good. Bicep rotation. She has double jointed elbows, which are pretty sturdy. And wrist movement is pretty standard stuff. Do be careful when you move her torso so that the bits don't get caught on each other. From the back, depending on the movement, there will be a little bit of a gap. But I guess it doesn't matter too much because you usually have it covered, right? Torso movement, pretty good. She can bend backwards this much. And bend forwards this much. Strangely, her legs can't really split to the sides, like, at all. However, she can kick backwards and forwards quite well. This is what the joint looks like. And I guess you can cheat a little bit to make her split sideways. She has nice sturdy thigh rotations, double necker knee bends, also very sturdy. It is cool how the back of her thigh pushes in a little bit. And another cool thing is that she has a little button on her knee. When you press it, the knee blades pop out. These do automatically tuck back in when you straighten the leg. However, just to be safe, I would suggest pushing it down before straightening the leg. Otherwise, she's got a little pointy grip. And of course, her feet attachment have some movement as well. For height, it is a little bit hard to gauge because there's so many different slops and things. However, just the figure herself, that's 19.5 centimeters or about 7 3/4 inches. I guess if you have her wings and stuff, you can add like 10 centimeters. And if you have her tall feet, then maybe add 1 centimeter. Pretty much the same height as Animester girls. So she's pretty tall, being a 1/10 girl. Most of her height does come from her legs though, so you can kind of try to look for stuff to swap out. I found that the Gami device arms and 30-minute sister arms were a little bit too loose, and their legs unfortunately didn't really fit. Let me know if you manage to find anything which works well. If you have the space, absolutely consider Raving her. I will of course have links to Bombasby and other stuff in the description. For me personally, I might just have her kneeling on my desk or wherever I find the info. Do let me know your thoughts on Rosado's Black Iris. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.
En febrero, estamos comprometidos con el abastecimiento responsable de nuestros ingredientes y construir una cadena de suministro que cuide a las personas y al planeta. Esto es parte de nuestra herencia y es algo que nos inspira día a día. Febrero, calidad desde el corazón.
Llegó el 7 del 7 a Mercado Libre.
Rebajas con hasta 50% de descuento. Mercado Libre.
Hello, let's take a look at Smilefest 2025 Tokyo, which took place last weekend. There is an Osaka event next week. Not sure if there's going to be more stuff, but we'll see. In this video, we'll mainly take a look at some Figma, Mendo's model kits, and whatever else there is. I'll also try to supplement some extra pictures from random socials where I can. I actually messed up this part here, so I'm just going to record over it. So do let me know down below what your top picks are. Don't worry too much because
Do you need near production quality plastic parts quickly and economically? Find out why polyurethane vacuum casting may be just the solution for you. Hello and welcome. This is Gordon Stiles, the president and founder of Star Rapid. I've been involved with rapid prototyping, formation, machining and new product development for more than 35 years, and I'm happy to be back with you once again for another installment of Serious Engineering for Serious Engineers.
Serious Engineering.
Here at Star, we just love making these videos. Personally, I have always seen myself as an educator and teacher, if you will. So for me, the Serious Engineering series has always been about passing on all this wonderful engineering knowledge to the next generation. If you're as passionate about engineering as I am, that's why you are, because that's why you're here, then please share these videos with any lecturers, teachers or trainers that you might know. And let's get the engineering world out to these students. And if we can benefit from the knowledge. Thank you. And now for something completely different. As you know, I've spent billions of years floating through the depths of intergalactic space, being stardust and all, so I'm pretty comfortable being around and working with vacuum. And vacuum, despite being the very definition of nothing, once it's science aside, also happens to be useful for all kinds of some things. For example, cleaning crumbs from sofa cushions, helping secret agents claim for skyscrapers to foil international terrorism, supercharging for elastic V8 interceptors, and making really nice low-volume parts and prototypes. But, Master Styles, you say, how can something come from nothing? That is the age-old question, my young apprentice, is it not? Allow me to be your guide to making polyurethane vacuum cast parts. You'll sometimes hear this referred to as urethane casting, which is not technically correct, but for some reason you Yanks out there say it all the time. Disclaimer, this script was actually written by a Yank, not the Limey this time, okay? The process I will show you today is the one we use at Star, but there may be slightly different techniques out there. If you have some suggestions, we'd love to hear about them in the comment section below. No matter the variations, vacuum casting is a great solution for rapid prototyping and new product development. If you haven't seen the quality for yourself, you'll be amazed at the beautiful results you can achieve, and from start to finish it takes only around 7 to 10 days to complete a typical project. And that's without having to invest in hard tooling. So if you need a few parts for prototype testing, display models, proof of concept, or a crowdfunding campaign, and they need to be just like the real thing, this is for you. 1. Master patterns. Vacuum casting starts with a master pattern. Technically, they can be any physical solid that's a copy of the finished part. It needs to be rigid enough to hold its shape at temperatures of about 70 degrees centigrade or above. You can CNC machine master patterns if you want to, but we don't normally recommend it. The reason is that CNC milling makes radius concave corners using round cutters, so the master pattern ends up not being a complete facsimile of the 3D CAD model. We only really use CNC machining for master patterns when the parts have very thick walls or sections, or we're making a gloss or clear part. For gloss parts, we make a PMMA master model and hand polish it to a very high gloss. Normally, for most jobs, we prefer stereolithography SLA 3D printed master models. SLA is fast, inexpensive, accurate, and it produces an excellent surface finish. This is important because vacuum casting will accurately reproduce all the surface details, including the ones you don't want. So it really pays to take your time at this stage to carefully sand and prime the master pattern to get it just right. If you want a texture on your final castings, we can put the texture on the master model using paint, and it will get picked up faithfully by the silicone rubber mold. 2. The silicone mold. Once we have the master pattern, we'll prepare it to go into the casting box to make the silicone rubber mold. We do this by adding a split line to the master model using 3M tape, often with a black line on the edge, so that we can see it inside the silicone tool later. We also add some 1.5mm diameter rods that will become venting holes, and a much larger rod in the range of 10 to 20mm that will become the casting gate in the silicone tool. And here's a little rule for you. Always gate low, vent high, just like metal sand casting. We also use steel and aluminium foil sometimes to define areas in the tool that will be too weak for silicone rubber and can easily get torn off. We put these cores into the master model before the tool is poured. They then remain part of the silicone tool once in operation. Then we make up casting boxes to hold the liquid silicone when it's poured around the pattern. We join our plates together with hot glue so they can be easily disassembled later. Boxes should only be a little bit bigger than the pattern itself to avoid wasting material and to make removal easier. Now, while the casting boxes are being prepared, the silicone rubber is being mixed with a hardener inside a vacuum chamber, which also removes gases from solution. Not many vacuum casting companies pre-vacuum their silicone, but I can tell you it really makes a difference to the quality of the mold. The master patterns are suspended in a casting box at a point roughly equidistant to all the sides. The silicone is poured in carefully from one corner, which helps to avoid introducing any air pockets. If you try and rush the pour, it will be like a video of a dam breaking in slow motion. Everything just gets swept away. 3. Curing. We then put the boxes into a vacuum casting machine to remove bubbles and trapped air, and then they're cured in a 40 centigrade oven for around 8 to 16 hours, depending upon the size of the tool. But, Master Styles, you ask, where are my copies? Patience, my young Padawan. Patience you must learn. 4. Opening the mold. Now we need our Jedi skills. The mold needs to be opened along the split line with a series of incisions with a scalpel. And to do this, it helps to use a strong directional light source so that the inside of the mold is clearly illuminated. And always use a brand new blade unless you want to cut yourself. More resistance, more force. Notice that we make jagged wavy cuts on this C. This helps us to reseal the mold in the correct orientation later. Sometimes we're cutting to a tape split line that has a black edge, and in some cases we're landing the scalpel directly onto the model, which is a highly skilled technique. Once the mold is open, which can take a bit of muscle, we remove the master pattern and expose the empty cavity within. A perfect negative image of the original. Ta-da! To make copies, you need pourable polyurethane vacuum casting resin. There are many formulations available, and they basically mimic the mechanical properties of standard plastic injection molding resins like nylon, polycarbonate, or ABS, and even soft TPE elastomers with durometers from 30 up to 83 Shore A. These resins can also be pigmented in advance so the colour is moulded into the part. We like to warm up our resins to 40 centigrade days in advance of use, and we also regularly turn the bottles over to mix up the resin to avoid crystallization. Also, after pouring out our resins into the casting cups, we make sure that the bottle is backfilled with argon gas before putting it back into the storage oven. This keeps it from absorbing moisture, which is a blowing agent for polyurethane. Not a good idea unless you want to make foam. And believe me, this is probably one of the biggest hacks in this process. Now we preheat our new silicone mold parts to around 70 centigrade. Then we spray on some silicone release agent, put the two halves of the mold back together, and staple them shut. Then the tool goes into the vacuum casting machine. We insert the pouring funnels, connectors, and tube, and put the A and B parts of the resin into the pouring cups. Now we are ready to pull a vacuum. With the door shut, we start the vacuum pump and degas the resins, which needs about 10 minutes. Then we pour one cup into the other, stir for a little longer, and then we're ready to pour. The two resins are poured down the funnel, into the tubes, and then into the cavity. Once resin comes up the vents, onto the top of the mold, we're ready to release the vacuum. Any bubbles that were still in the molding then collapse to about 1/50th of their vacuum size. And the gas in the tiniest bubbles often gets reabsorbed back into solution. That minimizes porosity in the parts, and that is the real reason for the vacuum. After curing, we open the mold and voila! Once we cut off the gates and risers, we have a perfect copy of the original pattern. Silicone molds can be used for up to about 15 to 20 castings before they need to get replaced. This is because they chemically break down when exposed to the resin, and the silicone turns white and hard and eventually crumbles. So there you have it, a primer on how to use polyurethane vacuum casting for rapid prototypes and low volume parts.
Pagar con el dinero que creció en tu cuenta de débito es una buena decisión.
This video is sponsored by Thrive Market. Yeah, this is William. Plug-and-play TV games became a massive trend during the early 2000s. No software needed. All you have to do is pick up the controller and plug it into your TV. So many companies started selling old games with this cute new packaging. Pac-Man, Atari, Space Invaders, these releases were so popular that soon plug-and-play games started having their own unique software packaged in one-of-a-kind plastic molding. A Star Wars release in the shape of the Millennium Falcon, Scooby-Doo in the shape of the Mystery Machine. I always get a smile out of SpongeBob's nose as a joystick. But what were they thinking with Spider-Man's rod or the Thing's thing? I gotta say, the Bratz flips slay so hard, even though it's a math game. This did so much for women instead. But today, I want to talk about plug-and-play rip-offs, because in a way, this whole era of gaming is defined by unique controller styles. The Nintendo Wii had motion controls, but so does Jakks Pacific's Triple Header Sports. The very last plug-and-play game released was a Walking Dead gun game that featured a big old zombie sensor bar, bigger and bolder than the Wii's. Guitar Hero had a guitar-shaped controller, and so does this Hannah Montana Guitar Hero knockoff. Skateboard controllers, wheels to drive, floor mats that let you be Spider-Man. I got so many of these, and all I can do is ask you to watch me as I plug them in and play them. The thing about plug-and-play games is I gotta be plugged into the TV, and I have no time to go to the grocery store. So thank you to today's sponsor, Thrive Market. Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store that delivers high-quality groceries right to you. They offer you access to premium products without that premium price tag. Thrive has very high standards as to the ingredients they allow in the products they sell. They restrict over 1,000 questionable ingredients from all of their available products. What I love most about Thrive Market is it's the first ever online-only retailer to accept Snap EBT, granting greater access to premium quality, healthy products. There's also the Thrive Gives program. For every paid annual membership, Thrive donates a membership to someone in need. And that helps me feel good about what I'm buying and where I'm buying it from. Since we work from home, it's more convenient to have meals at home. It also saves us money as we continue to save up for our future, and it keeps us in control of exactly what we're using to fuel our bodies. I made a one-pot chicken and rice dish with wild rice and turkey bone broth. It was so good. I got that skin real crispy with some avocado oil. Bet you didn't know Billiam could do that. I've also never made tikka masala with ghee before, so I had to try that since ghee was included with my free membership gift. It brought a whole different kind of richness to the meal. I can eat. And since I loved so much of what I got, I love that they have a buy it again feature, so I don't have to waste time. So if you want to join me and start saving time, money, and yourself from having to go to the grocery store and dangle 5 p.m. rush hour, click the link in the description or go to thrivemarket.com/Billiam to get 30% off of your first order and a free gift when you sign up for Thrive Market today. Thank you again to Thrive Market for sponsoring the video. First up is Triple Header Sports, released by Jakks Pacific in 2010. Clearly inspired by Wii Sports, unlike the Wii remote, the controller plugs directly into your TV. You don't yank it to the floor. The game features 3 attachments in the shape of a tennis racket, golf club, and a bowling ball, which snaps on like a clamshell. Nintendo was kind of too classy to make their own first-party accessories like this, but plenty of third parties tried to make this for the Wii. You can even design your own custom Me-esque character in this game, except your options are very limited. You get like 2 hairstyles, and every character looks the same, but you can make your character's skin blue and green, so that's kind of dope. A lot of the 3D graphics in these games are pre-rendered 2D images, and the end result is this static movement that does not complement the motion controls whatsoever. The characters look like their ankle bones are breaking when they're bowling. It's such an unnatural pose. Ew, I don't even want to look at it. The bowling game is easily the best of the 3, but it's really wild. Wii bowling itself is a lot of fanfare and sound design. I think it's really well, but nothing about this feels good. People are breaking their ankles, but swinging the golf club manages to be much more awkward than the bowling ball. You can practice swing all you want. Holding down a button lets you do it for real. But still, I often felt like the game would get stuck in the practice swing even when I was still holding the button. The tennis game is one of the most infuriating things I have ever experienced. Serving is so simple. You just move the controller up and swing, but then I cannot hit the ball back for the life of me. No matter how I hold the controller, the speed of my swing, the timing of my pullback, it rarely ever lands. It's very frustrating, but I keep having to calm myself down because this thing is wired into the TV, and if I get too crazy, that thing's going straight to the floor. But the Wii was also known for breaking things, so it's sort of an authentic. Next, made by Jack's Pacific and released in 2009, we have SpongeBob SquarePants Bikini Bottom 500. Being one of a handful of plug-and-plays that try to emulate the Wii wheel, this is one of the strangest looking controllers I've ever seen. SpongeBob's head sits in the middle and his disembodied hands sort of like stretch out across the wheel like he's ripping open a portal and peeking in all my holes. It's a real freak-bob encounter. The 3D models of the characters are funny. I get a kick out of Squidward's gamer neck, so I had to pick him. He's just like me. I have a need for speed.
Yeah, look at his conflict with face up there. He knows he's killing it.
Surprisingly, I don't think this game controls poorly whatsoever. The motion control steering feels good, but there's not much else to it. You race around multiple recognizable locations from Jellyfish Fields to Goo Lagoon, with all the themes being recycled multiple times for multiple tracks. In Mario Kart, you shake the remote to do a trick off a ramp, and you do here as well, but they tell you to pull the controller toward you instead, which never registers correctly, so just shake it, like in Mario Kart. No need to reinvent the wheel, guys. There are moments where you have to use the controller rotation to balance your character. You collect coins in the race to spend on vehicle repairs, which you just shake the controller to complete. It's fun. The best part is you can kill your opponent with weapons and by ramming into them. They literally leave the race, which gives you an objective when crawling your way around the map. As Squidward, I had to kill Plankton every time because he's below me on the social ladder. Not many characters below Squidward on Bikini Bottom's social ladder. You gotta take advantage of that.
Dude, if you played this game as a kid, did you have trouble with it? And if you did you ever get better at it?
What's wrong? What's wrong? This game gets boring so fast. There's no two-player mode, so all in all, it's no Mario. Released in 2007 by Active Arcade and Scenario Entertainment, we have the amazing Spider-Man You Are the Hero game. The company who made this also made clear copycats of DDR, and the Spider-Man game also features a floor mat. You use your feet to play the game. Spider-Man's eyes are the power button, so you turn this thing on by sticking your dogs in Spider-Man's face. His spidey senses are going fucking haywire. So many of these motion-controlled games would clearly be easier if they just had a standard controller. But if that were the case, you'd still have to deal with the fact that the games are so boring. I immediately groaned when I saw one mode had Spider-Man carrying somebody across a highway, with the challenge being avoiding cars a la Frogger. Dog, why doesn't Spider-Man just swing over those cars? Look at this photo of Mary Jane and Spider-Man. The game keeps flashing at you. I know what you're thinking looking at this. Spider-Man could totally swing a person across a highway. Why is he walking him across the street? I need the story. Is the guy broken? The controller attachment has two punch buttons on either side and a red button in the middle. You gotta web up Spider-Man's iconic villains before beating them to death. I will say, pushing the buttons does not feel good whatsoever. It had me questioning if the game was even working correctly. It literally feels like there's gum under the button. It's not satisfying whatsoever. But nothing infuriated me more than the rescue missions. There's a burning building and 8 people are dying around you as you aim and shoot your web. The setup is so simple, but the floor mat makes it so horrible. You have to push both forward and both back arrows to aim directly up or down. I swear to God, I was closer to breaking my ankle trying to do this than Spider-Man was to save me. Then we have the robbery scenario, which uses similar controls to the boss battle, where you have to step in the direction of the bad guys to sling some webs at them. And even this mode is super inconsistent. You gotta wear socks while playing this game, or your feet will stick to the mat, and shorts. That makes you feel more like Spider-Man, your feet sticking to surfaces, but I bought this on eBay, and I'm just trying to figure out who else's foot stick I'm touching. The game...
Estaremos de montañas, de mar, de mesa para compartir el pan. Llamamos trabajadoras, artesanas, solidarias y amorosas. M de misterio, música y mágico pueblo. M de mujer, madre maravilla. M de madera, gente hecha con buena madera. Esta es la M de mexicanas y mexicanos, madrugadores, románticos. Esta es la M de los nuevos y alimenta nuestro corazón. Brindo con M de México.
The game is organized through its overworld map where you can encounter different missions, and somehow even the overworld sucks. Instead of stepping in the direction you want Spider-Man to go, you use left or right to turn him around, and then you push forward to make him move in the direction he's facing. This is not how any other top-down games work. It would be so much easier if you just stepped in the direction you want Spider-Man to go, but they have to overcomplicate it for some reason. This doesn't make me feel like Spider-Man. But maybe Spider-Man Webmaster, released by Jakks Pacific in 2008, can. This game is motion controlled through a hunk of hard plastic that tries to wrap around your wrist and rest on your forearm. It's like they're trying to make those toy web shooters into a video game, but it's clunky. Again, the game is divided into several modes. The Rooftop Chase is an incredibly simple platformer made infuriating by incorporating motion controls into character movement. You make Spider-Man run by tilting left and right when your arm is straight out in front of you. To climb, you have to shake the controller violently while ignoring the discomfort in your wrist. I swear to God, this is gonna break my arm before it feels good. They don't expect a little child to be able to shake this as hard as I can.
Oh yeah, you're well practiced.
Yeah, what the hell? This would be the most forgettable game of all time if it was played with a D-pad, but the motion controls make it so cumbersome. I'm gonna remember this forever. I don't want to remember it. Next, there's the train run, a top-down temple run kind of thing. Then Barrage Blast feels like a top-down shooter and is probably the best mode. You have to shoot these robot guys out of the sky and flip over obstacles. It's nothing special, but it makes me realize this could make for a great Spider-Man game. And there's another mode where you have to shoot bad guys as Spider-Man stands in the foreground. It requires you to line up the sights while the motion controls themselves have these very distinct movements across the X and Y axis. Diagonal movement doesn't feel natural, and you have to react to the bad guys so quickly. Why am I so angry playing this? Meanwhile, Peter Parker is forgetting he's supposed to be Spider-Man. That's not the web gesture. It looks like he's playing volleyball.
This is getting bombed out.
Webs fly down! None of this makes me feel like I'm Spider-Man. Spider-Man's final moves against the baddies is wild and definitely needs to see a live-action adaptation. Spider-Man just webs up Vulture and slams him all over the room, most likely breaking his bones and knocking him unconscious. I wish it were me. By Jakks Pacific and Disney, we have Hannah Montana Possible or Secret Star. Released in 2008 at the height of Guitar Hero's popularity, the guitar-shaped controller has Hannah Montana's face on it, and instead of the 5